that video has people probably asking the very first question, which is, give us a time frame. I know it's the third quarter this year when you're supposed to begin service. How are we looking for that actually happening?
Phil, thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. That was Jamila. What does Jamila mean in Arabic? It means the beautiful one. And of course, with our soundtrack, the sonic sound, the sound of Riyadh. The brand is Riyadh, the brand is Riyadh, the brand is Riyadh. And it's a super, super busy year this year. So already, we've announced that soundtrack. We brought Jamila to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the first time. We signed up as the global airline partner with Live Golf only 3 weeks ago. But it's all about the build-up now to going live. And by the end of this year, you will see Riyadh Air in the skies. And for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for the traveling community, we absolutely can't wait to serve them.
First of all, I love the livery on the plane. Did you play a role in that coming together?
So yeah, we love an attention to detail. We call it an obsessive attention to detail, and it tries to play out in everything we do. It's about the brand again, our incredible cabin crew on the front row, haute couture, glamour, refinement, style. And if I just use that as an example, I remember when I was young, the impact of TWA and Pan Am. You see those cabin crew go through a terminal. It was a statement of beauty and glamour. And what we're trying to do with this brand, with Riyadh Air, is bring that glamour, bring that grace, bring that excitement back through attention to detail.
You've got an advantage as a startup that you have a clean sheet of paper and you can say what works and what doesn't work when it comes to air travel right now. And that means incorporating technology and not just doing it the way others have done it and benchmarking the best, but thinking outside the box. How are you trying to do that in terms of taking down the friction and the barriers to travel?
So I think digital is absolutely the key to it. I see the theme, obviously, throughout this conference is AI. That's a big part in what we're doing as well. But for the audience, I know some of you will have seen on the app that originally this session was billed for Ed Bastian, the chief executive of our partner, Delta Airlines, and myself. And I was present in New York, it was actually in Las Vegas, when he did the 100-year of Delta speech and his vision of what the next 100 years are. Now, regrettably, he can't be with us today because of the incident in Toronto earlier this week. Understandably, he is 100% focused upon that. And like him, our thoughts go out to the people who've been involved in that particular incident. I'm sure had he have been here, that question to him, he would have talked about digital, and he would have probably used a word like concierge, the Delta concierge, which was part of his speech in Las Vegas. Now, for us, we use the same word, and it's probably important that I explain what we mean by this. If I go across the road into Faena's concierge, I go there to ask a question. If I go to the concierge in the Dorchester in London, I ask a question. The concierge will give me an answer. But if it's an experienced concierge, they'll normally then, because they've got the context of what I'm interested in, say, you might be interested in A, B, and C as well. And if the concierge has been around not just for a year, but maybe 20 years, he's going to give you a lot richer content. The power of digital is exactly that. You say you want to fly from here to Riyadh. The minute it's got the context, it will say, through the Riyadh Air Concierge app, you might be interested in a sporting event. Atletico Madrid are present in Riyadh this week. I didn't know that. I add it to the shopping basket. There is a fine dining experience in Riyadh. Fantastic. I didn't know that, like the concierge suggestion. I add it to the basket. Once I'm content with the transaction, I show my face, I double click, and it's as easy as that. So similar to Amazon, similar to Uber, similar to Airbnb, it's bringing the world of digital to take all of the crunch points out of what, quite frankly, has been quite a difficult experience historically.
But as you know, so many people, when they're flying internationally, domestically, wherever it might be, we get locked into our carrier or carriers, Some of it is because of price and schedule and so forth, but a lot of times we get locked into our favorite carriers. How do you crack some of that loyalty that is already there with some of these other airlines you'll be competing with?
So loyalty is a really important factor in the hospitality business. A great experience will normally create, obviously, a greater connection and the loyalty that goes with it. Later on this year, we'll bring a completely different loyalty proposition to the market. And again, it's using that digital connection. But I think I should point out that we're not trying to build a market that doesn't exist within the kingdom. The market's very much there. It's currently underserved, and that is totally and utterly unsatisfactory. So our market, we need to move as quickly as we can to serve the citizens of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but also to allow the world to come to the kingdom and see the incredible destination attractions that are there. In terms of competition, in our line of business, that's a given, and we both know that, Phil. But partnerships also are key. So back with Delta, what that gives us is the ability in the future to fly to Atlanta, let's say, or New York, let's say. But you actually went on that Concierge app in Riyadh and said, I want to go to Phoenix, Arizona, or I want to go to Baltimore. You'll be able to do it with our Concierge app. Why? Because it will fly you to Atlanta, and then with Delta onto Phoenix, or it'll fly you to JFK, and then it'll go onwards then to Baltimore. That's the power of partnerships, and we've done the same thing with Singapore Airlines as well, connecting the Far East.
Is the advantage out there for you as a startup that you are in an extremely youthful market that is going to be much more willing to adopt technology and is not going to be beholden to a lot of the set in our ways approach to travel?
So I'll say yes and no to that, and let me unpack it quickly. Yes, because the average age of the population of the kingdom in Saudi Arabia is 29 years of age. It's got the highest iOS usage per capita in the world. But let me park that to one side. I can remember years ago when you would go to the travel agent in the high street and look through the catalogue, and I suspect you can remember that as well, Phil.
And the traveler's checks.
You got it. And I can remember how that became dated when the internet brought the way you could book online. And of course, nobody can find a travel agent on the high street anymore. They don't exist. It's history. In the same way, the app has actually superseded what most people used to do online. The point I'm trying to make here is if I look at my 85-year-old mother, what the pandemic did to many people is it forced them online. My mum shops online all the time.
Right.
I'm
so
sure
they're already there.
They're already there. Let's face it, how many people in this room, you know, their older parents or friends use Amazon, right?
Right.
Our part of the world, noon.com. Almost begs the question, why didn't anybody bring the same opportunity into the clunkier world of airline ticketing and all the ancillaries? And I think the answer to that is it was very difficult to back integrate it with legacy systems.
It was a one-way discussion.
You got it. The gift we've got, of course, is no legacy. And it's an opportunity too good to miss.
I have to ask you quickly in the few minutes we have left. Aircraft, you have orders both with Boeing as well as with Airbus. How do you feel about the supply chain? Because both of them are stressed. Slightly different reasons for Boeing than Airbus, but they're stressed with a supply chain that has been struggling to meet the demand that's out there.
So we have orders in place for 72 Boeing 787s. We announced FII in October in Riyadh, 60 Airbus A321neos. And we're currently engaged in an extra wide-body campaign. So perhaps going forward, there might be another example or announcement there.
But you talk with many in the industry, beyond the executives at Boeing and Airbus. Do you, and given your history in the industry, do you feel comfortable that we're finally perhaps turning the corner where supply chain is less and less of a concern?
I think that's a good point, because we've all seen that this has been the biggest story within the industry for the last 2 or 3 years. Are there big challenges out there? Yes, there definitely are. Is the supply chain stretched and under huge stress? Yes and yes. But am I seeing signs of moderate improvement? I honestly have to say, yes, I do. You know, even The president here, Donald Trump, yesterday, absolutely incredible. He was making the point. Air Force One, the new Air Force One, and the second one, Air Force Two, they're running late. But that's the challenge the industry's got. It'll be a slow recovery, but they will recover. I say this on purpose because I am delighted to be here in Miami, in the United States of America. Boeing will come good. There is no question whatsoever.
You know Kelly Ortberg. He's the man for the job.
He is absolutely the man for the job. And I think, Boeing will come good. Airbus are still good. The supply chain they've got, one level down, is pretty much the same supply chain. So we're working very closely with them. We embrace the challenges they've got. And as a startup, we can't wait to take those aircraft into our fleet.
Final question. What excites you the most with a startup? With the fact that you can create it. You are not tied down by the baggage, if you will, of being a legacy carrier. What excites you the most?
I really do think it's all about digital again, because all of the kind of difficulties that have historically been there. The example I quite often use is, I imagine everybody in the room has had a situation in the past where you've actually had to cancel a ticket. How long did it take till you got your repayment? And of course, if it had been on Amazon, or in our part of the world, noon.com, and let's say you've ordered an electronic toothbrush, it's been delivered, it's the wrong color, you don't like it, it doesn't work, you actually send it back, you get instantly credited back. With most airlines, it takes longer than it took the Egyptians to build the pyramids until you get your payment back. And the reason for that is all of those legacy systems were designed for one-way traffic, were never designed for this. What we're doing back to digital's got a lot more in common with Amazon than it has with legacy. And therefore, that's just the gift that will keep on giving with what we're trying to do. But importantly, it's all about guest experience.
Do you have the first route in terms of the first day when we take off, this is where we're going?
This is top secret, Phil. You're trying to tease secrets out of me. But let's face it, we have a mandate to globally connect. We're looking at 100 international cities by 2030. I'm here, obviously, enjoying Miami. We always enjoy Miami. Lots of people last night and again today saying, is Miami going to be on the Riyadh Air network? My answer to that is I sure as hell hope so.
Yep.
But there'll be a whole lot of others as well.
And there are a lot of people in Miami and in the U.S. who want to go to Saudi Arabia. As you were mentioning backstage, it has become much more accessible for people.
Yeah, look, it's a phenomenon. Last year, Google Analytics, second highest search tourism destination in the world, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Over 100 million people came into the country last year. For any of you who've not been on the internet and Googled it, remember this one, Alula, A-L-U-A, Alula. It is absolutely incredible. Look at Darija, what's going on in the center of Riyadh. It is absolutely awesome. For so long, these were the kind of places that people couldn't get access to and frankly hadn't really heard of. It's now being promoted properly, and of course the connectivity is where Riyadh Air fits in.
Tony, thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. And we actually want to give a recognition to the amazing cabin and crew from Riyadh Air. They are here. We would love for you to join us on stage for a photo op with Tony. Phil, I'm going to ask you to stand over here with me. Yep. Let's give them a big round of applause. They're ready to take on the skies in 2025.
Guys.